Good afternoon, everyone, to another exciting episode of BWHR Voices. Today, we welcome Mr. Nagan, Chief People Officer, Tally Solutions, here with us in our next series. And we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, as you all know, that we bring out, interesting and intriguing concepts to talk about each week. So this time it is how organizations today are benefiting from Gen Z's unique contributions while many stereotypical organizations, I would say, or in a traditional sense, I would say old companies feel that bringing in Gen Z's is of course getting a new perspective on board, but people who've been working for, let's say, good 30 years, 40 years, and they're not equipped with the Gen Z kind of slangs as well as tech. So they feel, it is in a way, if we get them in place, we are backseating the old employees. But as the youngest generation to enter the workforce, Gen Z has already begun to make a unique mark on the world of work. Born between 97 to 2012, this is a generation defined by their digital native status and their passion for social justice. While previous organizations and generations have lamented that they perceive shortcomings of Gen Z, forward thinking organizations have actually recognized that this generation's unique contributions are really valuable to modern workplaces. So, sir, coming on to you, knowing your views, we're waiting for you to explain and shell out your views as to how do you feel and, what are the specific skills or strengths do you see in Gen Z employees bringing to the workplace that are unique and different from previous generations?
Hey, Sugandh, good afternoon. It's great to connect with you. Great to be here at the Business World, the People Series, HR Voices.
Thank you,
This
sir.
topic of Gen Z, it really mesmerizes me whenever I talk about Gen Z. Gen Z, to your question, by inculcating or adding more and more Gen Zs in the organization will only bring in new vigor, new energy, and new way of looking at life from a very, very fresh perspective. As you see, possibly this generation is born with the internet. Maybe
Right.
when they were preparing to enter the world, they were googling the date and time of their arrival, right?
Right.
And not only that, but choosing the college, choosing the company, and so on and so forth. This is, like you said, digital natives. This is a new generation that we are actually dealing with, and their
Right.
habits are different, their interests are different, their likes are different, their dislikes. Very, very different generation. What worked for us, Sugandh, 20 years ago when I entered the industry, may
Mm-hmm.
not work today with the Gen Z, millennials, baby boomers, Gen X. See, there are 5 generations working together in the industry today. What we call
Right.
Industry 4.0 moving, right? So 5 generations are working. Managers are of different generation. Team composition is filled with different generation people. Can
Right.
you imagine? The one is the challenge to the manager and the opportunity for everybody to mingle and understand each other. Is Gen Z brings in a lot of zeal to learn. They bring in enormous creative thinking, and they
Mm-hmm.
they look for they look for autonomy. What I call is autonomy. What I mean is they want a free space for them to operate. So in a nutshell, to answer your question, the more you have Gen Zs, the better it is for organizations, because fundamental one reason organizations can become younger and younger by the year, do not
Right.
grow older, right? So if you want to remain young, want to remain agile, have more Gen Zs, and they will
No,
really create an exciting environment for you.
but sir, you would agree to my point. It's a mindset that has evolved recently to have more and more Gen Zs and millennials within an organization because earlier I wouldn't name the organizations, but certain, let's say, FMCG brands or trusted brands who've been there in the space for, let's say, over 100 years, 150 years. Earlier there wasn't this conception of having a fresh wave of thoughts into the organization. It was only the traditional way that we were carrying business, we were carrying leadership, we were carrying it or leading it the same way. So this wave has actually been into, prospectors since past, I would say 10 years or 12 years.
Right.
But
Right.
specific to your organizations also, I would say, what initiatives or strategies has your organization implemented to leverage the strength of Gen Z employees and harness their contributions effectively? Also, how do you see
Mhm.
Gen Z employees driving innovation and creativity within your organization? Because there has to be certain extra that they're getting on table that is, provoking organizations or leaders to have more and more Gen Zs.
Right. See, Sugandh, you actually brought a very interesting point. You have multiple questions in one question. So let me split this into three, okay?
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about the FMCGs and the so-called old generation style organizations.
Right.
If I may say, today organizations do not have a choice because as a country, close to about 50% of the population is going to be millennials plus Gen Zs, right?
Okay.
So then the other aspect that traditional organizations will experience is that the number of people retiring in the workplace in the next 10 years is going to be very high because those who started working very early, right? So you don't have necessarily a choice today saying that, hey, I will employ only certain generation of employees in the organization. So that is ruled out, Sugandh. You must embrace the new generation. You must be willing to adopt and tweak your organizational environment and culture policies around the new generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's one part. The second part is about how Tally as an organization is leveraging and creating an opportunity for Gen Zs. So Tally as a company, if you know, we are one of the, I would say, the oldest the fintech company in the country. We started 35 years ago. We are actually the MSMEs and SMEs support backbone for their financial services, for their account management and all of that. Today, we ourselves are evolving actually because it is important for organizations to relive their lives every 15 years, every 20 years. You cannot run a company what you started 30 years ago, right? So,
Right.
so as Tally, what we are doing is we are working on infusing more and more Gen Z talent from the engineering schools across the B schools across the country. So every
Okay.
year we have good number of Gen Zs into the environment. Uh, how we are actually creating an environment where people not only one assimilate themselves, engage with the organization, and third learn what we call as the Tally's proprietary programming language called TDL. And when we have this kind of proprietary technology, and we are actually aligning this proprietary technology with latest tech like AI, ML, IoT, and so on and so forth, it's important we to have Gen Z because their learnability, their appetite to new learning, their
Mm-hmm.
adaptability is so good, right? So it creates
Mm-hmm.
a great synergy to have this new generation workforce coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you pose a challenge to them, right, they find 10 different ways to solve a problem. And that creates a huge opportunity for our teams to innovate and build on the ideas that new generation is bringing to the workplace. So we are absolutely harnessing the potential of Gen Z at Tally, giving them exciting challenges so that they can work on solving some of the complex challenges given by our customers to create world-class product out of India to the world.
And
So
sir,
that's what I would say.
if we see, how do you see Gen Z driving innovation and creativity within your own organization? What new have you seen, or what onus are they bringing on table that is, giving you a boost that having Gen Zs in an organization is going to give a positive impact, something that you were not getting uh, prior, but then has added more to the table with more and more Gen Zs into the picture.
See, it's a good question. See, what I would say, one example that comes to mind is we have this initiative called Tally Together, which is our CSR wing
Okay.
at Tally, right? So where we want to engage with the different sections of the society, impact, and then go and serve the less privileged people, provide education assistance, and so on and so forth. The kind of participation this Gen Z, the earlier notion of Gen Z was they are less careful. They were called as careless generation and so on. Today, their social consciousness is so high uh, that they are coming forward, they're taking up initiatives, they're taking up responsibilities of running some of our CSR initiatives, completely running on their own. They take end-to-end responsibility. And that's so nice to hear, so nice to see, and they're forthcoming. Number one, they're
Mm-hmm.
socially wanting to engage and connect and make a difference because they crave for attention. Let's understand that, right? So we must give them, they crave for attention. So we must give enough attention to them
Okay.
and leverage the potential that they have, right? They have a lot of potential. And we should, as an organization, know how to leverage the potential to the best of our advantage, as well as creating an opportunity for people to perform better. That is one. Okay, that's very, very heartening to see, Tally, number one. Two, we have some special projects running in Tally on the new product lines, new tech areas, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we launch some of these programs internally, inviting people to participate, you'll be surprised. Maximum of them are the Gen Z population.
Okay.
And these are cutting edge new age technologies, and they're coming forward to learn and to also solve some of the complex challenges. So there, I would say they are adding a lot of creative value to the organization at this point in time. They're
Okay,
adding a lot
fair
of creative
enough. It's
value.
it's very
Yeah,
intriguing to hear that,
yeah, yeah.
age-old organizations also feel that, there is some positive impact of getting Gen Zs on table, and it
100%.
is it is not just the tech revelation or the advancement that they bring on table, but then it is more of the creative mindset or
Absolutely.
the working towards a creative bent wherein they are working with the leadership to actually devise
Yeah,
new and fresh ways to lead an organization. Now, technology has been and will be an enabler across organizations, we all know.
right.
But then, how
Yeah.
has the use of tech and social media by Gen Zs influenced the organization's approach to communication, collaboration, and problem solving? Because it is something they are adept at. It is something now
Correct.
they've been taught from their schools, from colleges, and the higher education that they're doing. So, of course, they're getting a good tech leverage on board. But how has it,
Right.
it improved I would say the holistic realm of any organization in terms of communications or collaborations or your reach to social media? So, what is your view on that?
Again, this is a very favorite question of mine. Uh, many organizations today don't rely on sending emails as a mode of communication,
Okay.
right? So what we have at Tally is real cutting edge, and company entire system has been handed over to people on a handheld device, including right from your attendance to claims, reimbursement, logging, and all communication channels. Everything is through a mobile app, and it becomes so easy for the Gen Z because they love the devices. They look very busy all the time. They're all gadgets all over their body, right? So they look very busy. So the idea is how organization can think a step ahead of the Gen Zs to see the environment that you create for them is very, very appealing for them to engage with the
Okay.
company, right? So
Mhm.
one is we have a very powerful mobile app. It does everything for the employees of Tally on a single click. That's number one. Number two, we have extensively leveraged internal platforms. We have integrated Yammer in our workplace where all the Gen Zs on an average, the average connection of Gen Zs on Yammer is about 75 to 80%. See,
Okay.
my organization culture thrives on Yammer. There's a lot of action happening. You come to my Yammer page, you will see Tally is full of life. The most happening place on earth, I would say, is Tally when I look at my Yammer page. So that's so
Okay.
beautiful. They give energy to us. They give energy to us. That is second one. The third one is we also looked at some of the policy interventions to support the learning agility, learning curiosity of our Gen Zs. So we have integrated a world-class, new age, cutting edge LXP platform, an LMS platform. We facilitate enormous learning for our people. People are actually really craving for learning, and this is like content from across the world available at their fingertips. And this is the highest utilized by the Gen Zs at Tally today. So if you ask me how we have leveraged, one is we actually speak their language, we understand their mindset, and we are able to adapt to their expectations in a really fascinating manner. And we are trying to create a very young organization at Tally today.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, according to you, sir, what are some of the examples of how Gen Z employees have made a positive impact on your organization's diversity and inclusion effort? It is indeed, I would say, a very important aspect that companies are laying emphasis today, not just to have
Yeah.
people from diverse backgrounds at work, but actually giving them a platform to feel that yes,
Yeah.
companies even today are hiring basis skills and not basis
Mhm.
somebody's sexual preferences, but then
Right.
how do you think is the role of having Gen Zs within an organization is giving them more onus and a bigger platform for them to feel that all companies are welcoming them and welcoming their skills? What are some of the examples that you can give? Could be from any other organization or from Tally yourself.
You know, if you ask me, skill has no gender,
Okay.
right? Proficiency has no gender. Capability has no gender. So I think the concept of hiring based on gender itself makes no sense. So we live in an era where skills are the new currencies of the new world, right? Capabilities is the new currency. So as a country, today we promote all genders equally, right? So be it Gen Z, for example, Tally is like 30 plus years old company, right? We are increasing our diversity quotient year on year. We're almost at 25% right now on the diversity ratio. We want to take it to the industry best benchmark. Let's say about
Okay.
35% plus in the next few years or so. So we make it a point to hire very diverse Gen Zs. Even in our lateral recruitment, we make a special emphasis. For example, today, last week only we launched a new initiative called Reboot with Tally. Just
Okay.
to invite people who have taken a break for various reasons in their career, especially focused on women, because we want to create a platform for them to come back to work and relaunch themselves. Right? One is that. Second is specific to we go to some specific colleges where the colleges actually are only women colleges, and we hire from there. So
Okay.
the idea is to create a level playing field where everybody has an opportunity to challenge themselves and prove their mettle.
And so, what about inclusion of people from the LGBTQ plus background? I mean, diversity is not
Uh,
just having women in picture today; it is above and beyond that.
that is true. We are actually beginning our journey in that area right now.
Okay.
We have started some initiatives on that space. Probably in the next few quarters, we should be able to make some quick progress on that. So that's a big focus area for us in the next coming financial year. And we will really look at some of those initiatives as
At
well.
least beginning to think about having them into the picture in itself is a great start.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Because lot many organizations are facing that obstacle that they're not even able to think in that background that you
Right,
are missing out on such a humongous amount of talent. People from these
right,
backgrounds are actually lawyers today, are judge today,
right,
are into the legal field. You name the field and then
of
making a
course,
mark
of
there. So
course.
it is equivalently
Right,
a beginning. Like few decades back, there was a beginning, there was an era wherein women started to come to work. Finally, I feel that we've entered an era wherein we know we are openly inviting and with of course with open hands to have people from
right,
LGBTQ backgrounds as well. And as you rightly
yeah,
said, skill has no gender.
right,
So
right, right.
no, indeed it is a very good start to at least to begin to think in that direction.
Correct. Yeah.
Also, sir, how do you see Gen Z employees contributing to organizations adaptability and agility in today's fast-paced business environment. It is indeed laying a great impetus on how we're thinking or what is the vision of an organization. So, what's your view on the same?
Like I said, right, the by adding more and more Gen Zs into the work environment, you are creating a very vibrant workforce.
Okay.
Vibrancy in all elements. How they're making a difference today is in terms of looking at life itself from a very different perspective. For example, today, my parents, when they started working in the government sector, they
Mm-hmm.
work for a very, very different reason. I am working here for a very different purpose. Today,
Okay.
Gen Z is looking at work as a place to have fun.
Okay.
Because their life is, their approach to work is very, very different. Now, as an organization, you can't put them under a boundary and say you come to work between 9 to 6 and do what is required and then go home. It doesn't work like that, right?
Right.
So what is required is today organizations are able to transform their work culture into a very flexible hybrid model and then creating an environment where people are given their space to operate. For example, at Tally, uh, we do not monitor people's in and out attendance.
Okay.
So people are free to come and use their own creative space and then perform to the best of their potential and contribute to the growth of the organization. So that is one element that we are talking about, how they're adding value. And the other thing is, let's say the overall speed of execution in the organization has really improved in a sense because the traditional ways of problem solving versus Gen Z's way of problem solving are very, very different. So they're able to reduce the cycle time of productive work to something meaningful, something concrete, because
Of
today
course.
they have so much of time to learn and they're learning skills like nobody's business. So they're very, very keen learners. And that is adding value to the organizational productivity.
No,
So
because
that
they've
is
clearly understood that, in order for you to thrive into any vertical or any organization, you've got to keep yourself upskilled.
right.
And it is important. It's not just to do with if you've done an MBA degree and you're an MBA throughout your life and pass out of IIM, but then you have to upskill yourself constantly to stay in the game, because then there is somebody
Correct.
else passing you on in flick of seconds. Hence,
Yeah.
very rightly said, Gen Zs today are focused more on regularly upskilling themselves.
Yeah. See, Sugandh, I want to give you one more data point. When
Sure.
we hire the tech school, engineering colleges across the country and the B school, we do something called a very extensive, focused learning intervention for them to go through what I call as the unlearning experience. Whatever they have learned, actually, they have to unlearn
Okay.
certain things and they have to relearn new things and continue to learn. It's like URL, unlearn, relearn, and continue to learn. So
Okay.
we give them the URL model for them to stay afloat, agile, alert all the time on a technology side.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I talked about the proprietary language of TDL in Tally. The way our young talent is absorbing the TDL process, mechanism, methodology has really amazed all of us. So they're able to learn very quickly and then get on to the creative work within no time. So one is we are giving them the URL pathway. Second is we are saying, look, boss, uh, your career is in your hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we will create all possible environment for you to thrive. Please go figure out what works for you and then excel in whatever you want to do.
Okay.
So that way, an open environment for creativity, open environment for opportunities, open environment for learning I think, is a great way to embrace Gen Z into your world.
No, that's very kind of you to collectively gather your thoughts and put it into place and get a
Yeah,
very fresh and a positive perspective of having Gen Zs into the picture. Thank you so much, Mr. Nagan. It was great conversing with you. And I myself, being from that organization or being from that realm of Gen Zs, I feel very enthralled to see that, age old organizations are putting in such immense amount of effort to onboard such people and give us also a space wherein we can also exceed and outperform and bring our thoughts to the table to bring a nice and a fresh perspective on table. So thank you so much for sharing in your views, anecdotes, the analysis, and the data point that you've given us. People who still have questions with Mr. Nagan, you can actually tag him on Twitter, tag him on Facebook as well as LinkedIn, and you can
Sure.
ask the questions from him directly there. He'll be very happy to answer all your questions. Thank you
So
so much, sir.
absolutely. Sugandh, just as a parting note,
Sure, sir.
I would say the Gen Zs are here to really transform the 21st century workforce, and they will literally create a new energetic environment for the economy, for the country to flourish in the world, where the world's working capital is in India, and all Gen Zs, I hope and wish that they take complete responsibility of taking the organization, taking the country to the next level, making India the true global leader in every sense. But word of advice is skill and will are the most vital armory for your success. So
Very
keep
true.
yourself agile, alert, and continue to learn and stay focused on your goal. I'm sure world will be a playground for all the Gen Zs in the world. Thank you so much. Wonderful
Thank you
talking to
so
you.
much, sir. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for us to be speaking with you and for you to be sharing us time for us and giving out detailed anecdotes on the views of this topic and why do you feel so and how have you actually implemented the URL and the other models that you've talked about. It's very heartening to see that, Gen Zs are getting that space and their skill is being recognized.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir.
Wonderful initiative. Continue your good work, Sugandh. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.